All right, welcome back, Truth Seeker. Happy spring equinox. Traditionally, this would be the new year. But on the old new year, we got the New World Order in full effect today. The latest 201 ritual. If you're new here, this is GematriaEffectNews. We talk about Gematria, the Kabbalistic practice of coding numbers into words, because when you learn this simple code of ABC 123, you see through what's really going on in the world and who really controls nations like China, the United States, Russia, and it's undeniable. As they say, all roads lead to Rome. So, if you are new here, we've been talking about the number 201 nonstop since the beginning of 2020 after the Event 201 coronavirus pandemic simulation, which was put on exactly 1 month before the outbreak in Wuhan, China. And it's just been nonstop with the 201 ever since. Celebrities getting the virus. Once we got through the COVID thing, then it was on to Russia, Ukraine, which was another massive 201 ritual. We've been documenting the 201s nonstop with Russia, Ukraine. About a year ago, you had a big 201 ritual between China and Taiwan, with China flying its military over Taiwan's protected airspace. And anyway, we're going to review it all, but just know that today, this meeting between Putin and Xi Jinping, is 201 days before Putin's birthday. So again, if you're new here, why does the number 201 matter? Again, the Jesuit order, which is the military order of the Catholic Church that's been in China for longer than the United States of America's existed, that was saved in Russia. This number 201 is very impressive to the Jesuits. It's very important to the Jesuits. Again, we're in the time of the first Jesuit Pope right now, Pope Francis, who's the first to live in Suite 201 at the Vatican. Look it up. Everyone must know these facts, even though they've been repeated a million times on this channel, but there's always somebody new here. So this will be the first time they ever hear it. But look it up. Pope Francis, the first to live in Suite 201 at the Vatican. If you take his birth name, Jorge Mario Bergoglio, and you add up the letters as numbers. So, for example, J, the first letter in his name. O, the second letter. J's the 10th letter. O's the 15th. R's the 18th. G's the 7th. E's the 5th. You add up the letters of Jorge Mario Bergoglio, it equals 201. Maybe you go, but he's an Argentinian. They speak a different language than English. He's over in Italy and the Vatican. They speak a different language than English. Remember, English is the language of the world, and if you look into the oldest known English script, it goes back to the monk Berthfirth of Ramsey Abbey, so it's Catholic, the English language, as far as we know. If you go back to the 16th century, the century the Jesuit order was created to stop the Protestant Reformation, you'll find out that English was standardized with the 26-letter alphabet. You'll find out the Gregorian calendar came out named after the Pope. You'll find out the heliocentric model was agreed to. And through this knowledge of Kabbalah, you can see how it's all linked up. And again, Kabbalah comes from Jewish mysticism, which was brought back to the Catholic Church after the Crusades by the Templars and the Templar cross and the Jesuit order's logo. They're the old military order of the Catholic Church. But anyway, Jorge Mario Bergoglio adds up to 201. The founder of the Jesuits, Ignatius Loyola, his name adds up to 201. If you write out the Jesuit order, it equals 201. If you write out Order of Illuminati, it equals 201, which was established in 1776 on May 1st by the Jesuit Adam Weishaupt. And he ended up dying in history 201 days after the anniversary of its establishment. Again, State of Israel equals 201. David Ben-Gurion declared it a nation. He died 201 days after the anniversary of its establishment. This number is all throughout history. It goes back to the beginning of this country. James Madison, 201, the author of the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, agreed to 201 days from the nation's birthday. The first Supreme Court Justice, John Jay, 201. Just a whole history of 201s. Joe Biden, who sacrificed his wife and daughter in 72, and a big 201 ritual. Joe Biden, who lost his son, Beau Biden, 201 days before the Pope's birthday at age 46, only to become number 46, elected 46 weeks after the Pope's birthday, when Catholic equals 46. Anyhow, let's just go down the line here. Today, Xi Jinping and Putin meet, again, 201 days from Putin's birthday. When Biden and Putin met, it was on Pearl Harbor Day of all days, December 7th, 2021. That was 201 days after the first Jesuit Ignatian year began. And when Biden and Xi Jinping met, It was on King Charles' birthday, shortly after he became king. And remember, the Queen died 201 days after being diagnosed with COVID. But the funny thing about the day they met on King Charles' birthday, from that day to today is a span of 127 days. Again, Biden and Putin met on They met on December 7th, 127. Remember, that's Pearl Harbor Day. They called 9/11 the new Pearl Harbor. Buildings 1, 2, and 7 fell. And then it went from 2 towers. The Twin Towers became 0 towers, and then eventually became 1 tower, 201, 127. So you have that here again. Because again, they met on 12/7, 201 days after the Jesuit Ignatian year began. Now it's a span of 127 days from Xi Jinping and Biden meeting to this meeting with Putin and Xi Jinping. It's funny, Biden and Putin, their names, I get dyslexic in my brain. I want to say both of their names together. But just the same old pattern. And where does 127 and 201 come together? Again, in the history of the Illuminati. Order of Illuminati 201. Bavarian Illuminati 127, and they're the same thing. They're alternate names for the same thing. Adam Weishaupt first founded it as the Bavarian Illuminati. Then he changed the name to Order of Illuminati. And for the record, spring equinox equals Bavarian Illuminati. And here we are on the spring equinox. And remember, if you write out the Jesuit order, it equals New World Order. They equal the same thing. And what else would the New World Order be? How could it be anything other than the Catholic Church? Who gave you the New Testament? Let's not forget the Holy Bible equals 201. Let's not forget it's about the Son of God, and the Catholic Church worships the Son. And again, in the 16th century, you get the Jesuits, you get heliocentrism, which equals 201. You get, again, the English alphabet as we now know it with all the vowels, with the 26-letter alphabet, with the agreed-to spellings today. You get the Gregorian calendar. All of these things synced up. And for the record, Catholic Pope equals 201. Big patterns all throughout history with the Catholic Pope, like the CIA being established on the Catholic Pope's 201st day of his age, and the CIA's nickname being Catholics in Action. And the most famous CIA fictional character ever is Jack Ryan, who's Jesuit educated. And the words Central Intelligence Agency, United States of America equal 201, just like how the CIA's motto equals 201. But yeah, the point I'm making is these are all New World Order Jesuit puppets. And let's not forget Joe Biden's from Scranton, Pennsylvania, home of The Office, you know, the hit show on NBC for so many years that ran 201 episodes, where in each episode you see the Jesuit prep school flag that is in Scranton. And let's also not forget the ritual they just did with the Moscow, Idaho killer being arrested in Scranton, Pennsylvania, who lived at apartment G201. Where the news broke on the king's birthday, and the killings were on 1122 King Road. 1122 reminding of the last Catholic president, JFK, killed at age 46, Biden number 46. The killer arrested in Scranton 46 days after the news broke on the king's birthday. But again, you guys, I mean, just look at these people. This is supposed to be, you know, the great rivalry going on in the world right now. These guys who get together and shake hands and smile at each other. I mean, it's just such a joke. There's no real rivalry here. Joe Biden let the Chinese balloon fly across America. Remember what a ritual that was and how we showed you it was synced up with the Super Bowl and was a sign the Chiefs would win? The news coverage went from it covering the spy balloon in Montana. Didn't cover anywhere else until it got to Kansas City. Montana and Kansas City right before the Super Bowl. Reminds me of Joe Montana, who finished his career with the Kansas City Chiefs. And then again, you learn Gematria. Spy balloon equals 41. So does Super Bowl. Montana's the 41st state. What a ritual, you know? All of this stuff is a joke. We are treated like a joke every day by the cabal that speaks through the language of Kabbalah, which is based in letters and numbers and words. Every day, all day, same patterns, same rituals over and over. And the news tries to make it seem like this is some scary thing. Some scary thing. Oh man, Russia's a big danger. China's a big danger. Again, there could be a war that would break out someday, but none of these people are going to be fighting there. Again, they're all aligned at the top. And it's just like, go back and look in the pictures of World War II. You got all the leaders that are supposedly against each other all lined up for a nice photo, looking all happy, looking at the camera. It's like, well, these guys could look like a nice civil, these guys couldn't come to an agreement. Again, you guys, the people at the top are all in the same club. They are puppets of the Jesuit New World Order. In a sense, there's no division anywhere in this world amongst nations, but they do create the conflict because the conflicts bring about things like war, which make money for the people on top. Anytime there's a war, there's so much money made by the ruling class, the people who control the governments, the banks, the mega corporations, the Coca-Colas of the world that all of a sudden now can get $15 a can per. Well, that was back in the early 2000s. Now they could probably get like $50 a can to send a Coca-Cola to the troops. If you guys didn't know that, yeah, Coke made a ton of money off the invasion of Afghanistan and Iraq. CBS 60 Minutes covered it. How Coca-Cola was billing the taxpayer like $15 per soda to ship it to the troops. How nice of Coca-Cola. I wonder why Warren Buffett is so invested in companies like Coca-Cola. Because these are more than companies, you guys. This is what rules the world. Coca-Cola loves war. No longer are they making 25 cents a soda. Now they're making $12 a soda. But yeah, we pay for this too. And we pay for it by simply going along with it and not standing up and overthrowing our government, it should be our duty as Americans. Again, we learned in our years of slave school that this country was born out of a revolution about overthrowing tyranny and taxation without representation. I mean, that's exactly what we have now. Total tyrants. Again, the kind of people that knock down buildings in New York City and blame it on a boogeyman in a cave to start a needless war to kill a bunch of young people. And those who survive, they end up as the homeless people on the streets of Seattle right now. Again, go. Seattle, a city overflowing with homeless people. Go interview them and see how many are former troops that lost their mind in the things they had to do in the war. Raiding people's homes, shooting innocent people. And it's nothing new. I mean, the same thing happened after Vietnam and a whole bunch of these wars. For decades, it's been homeless vets on the street, sad about what they had to do overseas, all for nothing. Remember when Afghanistan's government collapsed on the Jesuit order's birthday, and then it was blamed on Jesuit Joe? Again, you guys, this stuff is a joke. Stuff is a joke. So it's the big old 201 show. Again, when China was flying its planes over Taiwan last year, escalating that, it was 201 days from Xi Jinping's birthday. I've talked about so many 201 things with Putin, it's ridiculous. The United Nations leader, his name's 201. When he was there, supposedly Putin was bombing close to where he was. It's just all crap. Supposedly some war zone, but like every politician and their mom's flown over there. We even got the headline about how Biden let Russia know that he was coming in to chill it out with the war so he could fly in safely. Where in what world does that make sense? Like Russia should perceive the U.S. as the enemy right now. We're the ones supposedly arming Ukraine, escalating the war, making it hard for Russia to complete its mission. Why would Russia be like, oh, well, the leader of that nation's flying in, so we're going to chill out today for Joe Biden? That doesn't make any sense, you guys. That makes zero sense. This whole thing is a big rigged show and joke, and all by the same old code. Remember, the 201 ritual before Biden met with Putin 201 days after the first Jesuit Ignatian year began, that there was a 201 ritual prior to that. Joe Biden was at the European Union, which equals 201, and it was 201 days from Biden's birthday, and he warned Russia not to mess with Ukraine. And then he met with them later that year on Pearl Harbor Day, right before the invasion. And exactly a year to the day of Biden's warning against Putin, exactly 1 year to the day, the headline was that Russia overtook the Donbass region. And Donbass region equals 201. And here's the other thing. When the war started, Putin was 69. Right now, Xi Jinping is 69 years old. Notice, in Gematria, if you're new here, it's based on the alphabetic order forwards, backwards, and forwards and backwards with numerology. Just notice how the Jesuit order equals 69 and 201. Again, it started with a huge 201 ritual while Putin was 69 years old. Now, this 201 ritual while Xi Jinping is 69 years old. And we've been talking about this. Xi Jinping would turn 69, and we'd probably see, the next phase of the story, and here it is. And another 201 ritual. And keep in mind, all these things also equal 69. New World Order and Illuminati and Catholic Church. And again, I mean, did they not think about, you guys, I always think about what was in the entertainment world around the time 9/11 happened. The two biggest movies, maybe in the history of movies, came out right before 9/11. And they were The Matrix, where Neo's passport is September 11th. That's the date on it. But then Fight Club, how does Fight Club end? It ends with movies falling in free fall with the song playing, Where Is My Mind? And where was everybody's mind after 9/11? Clearly not in reality, because anyone who had a brain, who knew anything about physics, knew that the official story that day was a complete lie. Impossible. Literally impossible what they told you happened. Not to mention the internet existed, and if you did research, you found right away there was all sorts of testimony online that bombs were going off in the building that were never a part of the official story. Firefighters coming out saying bombs were going off in the building. There used to be footage all over YouTube of the firefighters saying that. There used to be footage all over YouTube of what it looked like in the lobbies of those buildings before they came down, how there was just soot and dust and smoke and stuff all over the place. Clearly bombs had gone off and all scrubbed down the memory hole. And who did it? Google. And what day does Google celebrate their birthday? September 27th, the same day the Jesuits were recognized by Roman history, the day leaving 95 days left in the year. The Jesuits' original purpose to counter the 95 Theses. Oh, speaking of 95, how many months and days is it from June 15th to March 20th? That would be 9 months and 5 days, like 95. Jesuit. Here's another one. Let's just go back to Event 201. Event 201. Back then, we had the Jesuit Anthony Fauci, who predicted the pandemic 10 days before Trump took office. He said there will be a pandemic in the time of Trump at Jesuit Georgetown. But think about this. Today's the 79th day of the year. Society of Jesus, that's the formal title of the Jesuits, equals 79. Remember when the pandemic was declared on the 79th day of Anthony Fauci being 79 years old? So that's 79. Today's 320. 320. Roman Catholic Church equals 320. Remember when George Floyd was pulled out of the Mercedes-Benz ML 320 and killed in front of Police Cruiser 320, and his full name, George Perry Floyd, equaled 201? And he was killed exactly 201 weeks after a Gematria, who was killed on the 201st day of the year in similar fashion in Paris, France, the home of the Jesuits, and their names were protested together in Europe after George Floyd's killing. Then remember how all the Confederate statues came down? And then 201 days after the Confederate statue came down in D.C. of Albert Pike, you had the Capitol insurrection, where Confederate equals 201. For Jesuit Joe taking office on January 20th, 20/1. And again, the Jesuit priest who swore him in also did the funeral for Beau Biden. Joe Biden, number 46, funeral for Beau Biden at age 46. Same Jesuit priest does both the funeral and the inauguration, and his name, Leo Jeremiah O'Donovan, equals 201. And don't forget, Joe Biden was 72 when his son died, and it was 1972 when his wife and daughter died on Limestone Road, which equals 201. And again, Jesuit order does have that Gematria 72 as well. But again, 320, 201, all over the George Floyd ritual. And don't forget, the Roman Catholic Church settled for sexual abuse of children right after George Floyd news broke, literally the day after. And then we got the story of George Floyd's second grade teacher, Waynell Sexton, who remembered what a young, sweet boy he was. And the same numbers were coded all over everything. And then just about, the pandemic being declared. But for the record, in base 8 counting, the number 201 is 311. 201 becomes 311 in base 8 counting, like how the pandemic was declared on 311 on Fauci's 79th day of being 79 years old. And then Fauci that year threw out the first pitch at the baseball game. And Garrett Cole made his debut for the Yankees that day. And he picked up his 95th career win. And he was signed by the Yankees on the 95th day of his age. New York Yankees, for the record, equals Society of Jesus, forwards and backwards. But the name Fauci also equals 95. So again, I'm just trying to paint how all these numbers come together over and over, and ritual is how they all connect to the church. And the thing about 320, 320, Roman Catholic Church 320, where does that number matter in history? The Catholic Church has celebrated the Son of God's birthday on 12/21 since 320 AD. They've celebrated this. So get this. The Catholic Church has celebrated the sun in the sky's birthday on 12/21. Or what am I saying? 12/21? Sorry, December 25th. The Catholic Church has celebrated the sun's birthday on 12/25 since 274 AD. The Jesuit motto, Ius hominum salvator, equals 274. If you run it in reverse, it equals 266, like Pope Francis is the 266th Pope, who spoke in Jesuit DC on the 266th day of the year. But then it was 46 years later, where Catholic equals 46, that the Catholic Pope then said that 12/25 is also Jesus Christ's birthday. You see how this all goes? 274 AD, the sun in the sky. 320 AD, 46 years later, Jesus Christ's birthday on the same day, when Catholic's 46, and Catholic equals 46 in Gematria. And remember, 1225, the square root of 1225 is 35. If you run it forwards, Catholic's 35. If you run it in reverse, Catholic's 46. JFK number 35, killed at age 46. Joe Biden elected 46 weeks after the Pope's birthday, killed on the Pope's inaugurated on the Pope's 35th day of his age. And remember, there's a good chance that Joe Biden dies in office. Gerald Ford gave the speech at the Herbert Hoover Library answering a little girl's question about how we'll get the first female president, and he said we'll have an old president, and he'll die in office while he has a woman vice president, and that'll be how we get our first president. First female president. And the funny thing about Kamala Harris, again, she was born the exact same day that Herbert Hoover died, and he said that in the Herbert Hoover Library. But again, all these things, you guys, they're all proof of the script that we're living out, that there's a club of people in the know. I mean, why else would Gerald Ford, if nobody's ever seen that clip, look it up. Look up Gerald Ford answering the girl's question about how we'll get the first female president. It'll just blow your mind. I mean, it's like, what a weird way to answer a question. A little girl goes, Mr. President, when will we get a woman president? He's like, oh, now let me tell you how it's going to happen. It's just like, what a weird response. Like, is this guy like a 1-800-psychic line? I mean, in what world do you answer a little girl's question like that? Now, because he says something like, now she won't be voted in. She'll be the vice president to an old man, and he will die. And then she will be the first female president. It's like, what the hell kind of answer is this? So, anyway. And like I said, I had a prediction. Here, let me go back. I'll figure out exactly what day I said. I think I said it was be June 1st, 2024, which could be wrong. But I do suspect it'll be somewhere around there. January 20th, 2021, the first day of Biden and Kamala officially in office. And don't forget, January 20th, it can be written 20/1 like 201, and it's also the 201st day of the U.S.'s age each year if the birthday is July 4th. And don't forget, inauguration of the President of the United States equals 201 in Gematria. Going with Leo Jeremiah O'Donovan, the Jesuit priest, 201, swearing him in. But June 1st, 2024, let me see. Okay, so that's 1,228 days later, or it would be the 1,229th day of the administration. That's the 201st prime. That was my hunch about why that could be the day that Kamala replaces Joe. She'll be 59 years old, number stamped all over Black history. It was the 59th presidential election. And here's the other thing about June 1st. June 1st is the 152nd day of the year. Technically, that year it'll be a leap year, so it'll actually be the 153rd day of the year, which the Illuminati equals 153, so does Jesuit order. But it's still traditionally the 152nd day of the year, and just to remind you where that matters, the first President's Day when Biden became president was on February 15th or 15/2, and Joe Biden equals 152, and so does Kamala's full name, Kamala Devi Harris, 152. So that's why I said, you know, when they took office, I said, I think that'll be about the time that Kamala replaces Joe. Again, 59th election, 59, huge number with Black history, and just like why Black History Month ends on the 59th day of the year. Now, I know there's a gentleman in the community who thinks Joe's going to go on April 19th, which is Ignatius of Loyola Day. That's why so many tragic things happen in history on April 19th, including Timothy McVeigh, which equals 201, like Ignatius of Loyola. But, yeah, I still think, I mean, it's possible. It could happen at any time, but I think my prediction's better. So, anyhow. And you know what? That could be like a war escalation thing, too. I mean, that could become a narrative. Russia, undercover White House tranny poisons Biden. And don't forget, don't forget the 201 code's all over that. Caitlyn Jenner, do the math. So, yeah, if you're new here, just to show you how, when you write out Bavarian Illuminati, you see the 188, 80, 127. We were talking about the 127. 188's interesting because U.S. dollar bill denominations, 1, 2, 5, 10, 20, 50, 100. You add them up, 188. Over the years, we've documented a lot where these numbers come together. But notice spring equinox. 188, 80, right? When things become a ritual with the new world order. Get new world order. 69. Catholic Church, 69. The Jesuit order, 69. Illuminati, 69, right? The war starts when Putin's 69. Now Xi Jinping and Putin meeting while he's 69. Do you see how Illuminati is also 150? Look at heliocentrism, right? The sun illuminates the world. The model is that the sun's at the center of it all. Heliocentrism, also 69, 150 like Illuminati. They say the sun's 150 million kilometers away on average. 201, like Order of Illuminati, like the Jesuit order. And notice how Order of Illuminati is also 93, like how they say the sun is 93 million miles away on average. All big numbers that we talk about all the time on this channel and huge rituals. Remember when we predicted what would happen at the Route 91 Harvest Festival, how it had everything to do with 93? Back then, I didn't even understand the 201 part of the code, but, you just go back and look at that, and who was on the stage when it happened? Jason Aldean, Mr. 201. Las Vegas Strip. Or you got to throw a "the" in there. Sometimes you got to throw a "the" in there. The Las Vegas Strip 201. The Las Vegas Strip. The Las Vegas City. Founded by the mob. The mob Italian. Catholic. Jesuits. Again. So. Yeah, it's just, this information should be what everyone is pumping out every day. It's so undeniable. It proves the whole thing. It shows exactly what's going on. It has the potential to wake up the world. And again, we live in a world where people, that they worship status. And my online status has been crushed by Google because I've been deleted 20-some times. I do think that I would be the biggest truth channel in the world, surpassing frauds like Alex Jones. I do think that'd be true if I had not been tampered and destroyed in the last decade. And I think, that'd make a lot more people take notice and accept the work. People's minds, the way they work, are like, oh, that's a small channel. There's not that many people. Why? That can't be that important. And they don't know that, 6-7 years ago, we were getting huge views. Now we can't get huge views. And we still don't get anyone who has a platform to share the work. People with a platform are still doing the same stuff. Leading people nowhere. Hey, I can't lead you anywhere, but I'll scare the shit out of you. Buy some basement snacks. Get one of my t-shirts. It's like every day that's what they're doing. They're just keeping up with the headlines. How can I manufacture some fear? How can I say, hey, go buy some more basement snacks? Get some powdered food you can put away for 20 years. Get one of my t-shirts. Get one of my my solar flashlights. Again, it's like that's everyone's thing. I'm going to manufacture even more fear than the news does to sell you some shit, but they won't actually help get out the information that allows us to connect the dots, see who's running the show, and the perfect patterns that just continue to go on from one scare to the next, from 9/11 to the war on germs to World War III. And hey, by the way, with regards to World War III, remember, it was that Albert Pike statue, the Confederate general that came down 201 days before the Capitol insurrection. Look at his birthday, you guys, 1229, right? 1229. 1229, the 201st prime. He wrote the letter about 3 world wars on August 15th, 1871. on the Jesuit order's birthday. You know, Trump, everybody's favorite hero that's supposedly going to jail tomorrow by the numbers. Remember Trump the other year, his brother just dropped dead on August 15th. Trump Jr. was born on the 201st day of Trump's age. Him and his wife got married in the 201 church with the 201 priest. And then he just buried his ex-wife, on the 201st day of the year last year. Again, they're all in the same club. Biden, Trump, one of the coldest 201 rituals with the president recently. Obama, on Obama's birthday, his name's Barack, which sounds like barracks. Beirut barracks bombing, infamous moment in history. On his birthday, you had the latest bombing in Beirut, and it was 201 days from Michelle's birthday, who very well could be running for office come 2024, because as we talked about, her book release was perfectly synced with the upcoming election. And again, there's been a few other Michelle headlines, which we recently covered, that are all synced up, so... Anyhow, the one other thing I want to say, just aside from all this, is, by the way, just in case you haven't heard the Trump thing, if he does get arrested tomorrow, if that does happen tomorrow, it'll be the 281st day of his age, the 60th prime. Donald Trump equals 60. The upcoming election's the 60th U.S. presidential election. When his wife died, it was 60 weeks after the Jesuit Ignatian year began, on the same day that the report came out against him based on 60 cases. So this 60 shows ongoing with Trump, all leading up to the election. And he's 76 years old right now. Skull and Bones equals 76. Their big number's 322. Remember what happened on George W. Bush's 76th birthday? The Georgia Guidestones came down that were put up on March 22nd, 322. There's so much focus on Trump in Georgia. And don't forget, when the Georgia Guidestones came down, which are a solar calendar tracker thing as well, it was 201 days after the Pope's birthday when they came down. But yeah, he's just 76 years old right now. Skull and Bones 76. And I'm forgetting off the top of my head what the other piece was. Oh, I know what it is. It's the Johns Hopkins founder, Daniel Quaitman Gill. Hold on. I can't think of his name right now. Hold on. But his birthday's 76 too. Daniel Coit Gilman. His name is 76 as well, and his birthday's 76 like Bush's. You see how 76, Skull and Bones 76. On Bush's 76th birthday, the monument comes down that was put up on 322. Again, the number of Skull and Bones. So... let's measure real quick from 7-6, the day those came down, to... again, Trump said he'll be arrested on Tuesday. We'll see if that's true, but the next day after is March 22nd. Okay, it's 258 days later. That's interesting, because order of Illuminati is 201 forwards, 258 in reverse. Another pattern. And... okay. Here, from Biden's meeting with Putin to Putin and Xi Jinping meeting is 66 weeks and 6 days later as well for a 666. The square root of 666 is 25.8. That's another thing. It's a whole other topic. But just thinking if there's a factor in with that. And for the record, just the Johns Hopkins University, and they do spell it with a "the" in the front. The Johns Hopkins University, 322, just in case you didn't know. It all goes back to Kabbalah. 3 pillars, 22 pass in the Kabbalah tree of life. 3 pillars, 22 pass. Genesis 3:2:2 mentions the tree of life, the physical model for Kabbalah. And Genesis is the basis of the Abrahamic religions, which is 322. And ancient mystery religions, which includes Kabbalah and Kundalini. Got to spell right. Kabbalah, Kundalini, Hermeticism, alchemy, 322. Some philosophers died way back in a year in 322, which is why they say Skull and Bones really likes 322. And it's funny, there's information all over the internet that Skull and Bones is at building number 322, but I actually went to the Yale campus and that's actually false. So that's an internet rumor that's not true. But we see why they like the number anyway. They do identify by the number 322. So we know what it's about. And if you don't know, Skull and Bones is modeled after how the Knights Templar buried their dead, who again are the old military order of the Catholic Church, who gave us the Bible as we know it with the numbers in it. So yeah, we are just days away from March 22nd, and then Friday, March 24th, even bigger day. So we'll see what shenanigans are coming this week, what banks are going to topple over, what more contrived chaos will they bring. And again, throughout history, when economies have hit rock bottom, it always gets fired up right after that, a big old war. Economy rock bottom, big old war. It's like a machine that just keeps operating the same way. And I guess people have just accepted it because they're like, well, that's what I learned about in history, so why wouldn't it be the same now? Fair point, but have you ever learned about who's making it go this way? Who's contriving the chaos to bring about the economic bottoms that brings about the wars? You learn this, you see how it is all being orchestrated by a perfect code over and over. Just like how we talked about how every single bank has collapsed by the 83 pattern, a pattern we've been calling out all year for why we'd expected collapses in the financial world in March. And it all began with the staged ritual of Damar Hamlin of the Bills, who's born on the 83rd day of the year, March 24th. So Let's see what else. Is there anything else brewing in the news right now on this March 20th? Or is that still the hot top headline? Biden issues first veto of his presidency. Okay, let's think. His birthday is November 20th. The day leaving 41 days left in the year. Today's the 79th. So it's 120 days after Biden's birthday. And 120 is the 15th triangular number. Just to show you the Illuminati thing again. Illuminati 120, the 15th triangular number. The Illuminati founded on the first day of the fifth month, like 15. You run it in reverse, it's 150. We talked about that with heliocentrism and the sun being 150 million kilometers away. And by the way, the thing illuminated in the sky by the sun is the moon, and the moon landing on the 201st day of the year. Neil Alden Armstrong, guess what his name equals? 201. I might leave this video here for now. Well, we can see what he vetoed first. We'll look at what he vetoed. But I do need to fire up another video about what's going on in my state, Washington State, because I think it's predictive programming for what's about to happen nationally, from Washington State to Washington, D.C., about the assault weapons ban going on here right now, because it just couldn't be any more Jesuit. It just couldn't be any more Jesuit. I just got to see what they put the emphasis on. See how they emphasize similar goals down here? Similar goals. Russia and China have similar goals, Z tells Putin. Notice the Gematria, similar goals. 135 like Bavaria, but 54 is the one that stands out. Jesuit Order 54, John Carroll 54, who established the first Jesuit University, Georgetown, when he was 54. Again, their logo's the sun 54. Huge ritualistic number with the Jesuits. If you've never seen They Live, The Enemy of the World is Cable 54. That movie came out 201 days from Roddy Piper's birthday, who ended up dying in history prematurely, unexpectedly, on the anniversary of Ignatius of Loyola's death. And he also did tweet on September 27th of all days, that the Jesuit anniversary of being recognized by the Roman Catholic Church, that They Live was a documentary. All right, here, let's read what Biden vetoed, his first veto. Veto equals 17, the most pure. What else is it? Oh, 46, huh? That's interesting. Number 46 with his first veto. Oh, today's lesser date numerology is 46. 3 plus 20 plus 23, 46. Veto 46, the first veto from number 46 on the 46 date numerology. You got to love the 1:32 post time. That's how many rooms are in the White House. For those of you guys who didn't know this, United States of America equals 132. The country was named September 9th, 1776, 132 days from the establishment of the Illuminati. And if you throw a the in front of it, 99 like how it was named on 9/9. The Illuminati was founded on a date with 99 numerology by 13 families. 13 equals 99. 13 stripes, 13 colonies, 13 years of slave school, just how these numbers come together. But also, if you didn't know, Catholic Church is 132. Roman Catholic is 132. Back to Catholic Church, 132. In reverse, it's 246, how old the country is right now. England's also 132. And I forget what the word is. DK Stonewood knows the word. He actually told it to me like months ago. I forgot it now. There's some old part of London that was like the military fortress. Whatever the name is for that thing is also 132. But I forget what it is right now. So anyway, Biden, 132 after the hour, from the building with 132 rooms. In the country founded just after the Illuminati. In the capital city that was moved there where the Jesuits had already been, that was once called Rome on the Potomac. President Joe Biden issued the first veto of his presidency Monday on a resolution to overturn a retirement investment rule that allows managers of retirement funds to consider the impact of climate change and other environmental, social, and governance factors when picking investments. Okay, my mind just blew up. I have to read that again. President Joe Biden issued the first veto of his presidency Monday on a resolution to overturn a retirement investment rule that allows managers of retirement funds to consider the impact of climate change and other environmental, social, and governance factors when picking investments. Republican lawmakers led the push to pass the resolution through Congress, arguing the rule is woke. Arguing the rule is woke. You know what's funny about woke? Here's what I gotta show you about woke. 54, right? Forwards and backwards. Also 18 forwards and backwards, like IHS. If you didn't know, the Jesuit acronym has IHS in it. IHS in the sun. But remember, the last day of Agenda 2030, Obama was the president then. The last day of Agenda 2030, Obama spoke, and it was his 54th day of being 54 years old, right? Just for the record, like Jesuit order. Okay. They said it was a woke policy that pushes a liberal agenda on Americans and will hurt retirees' bottom lines, while Democrats say it's not about ideology and will help investors. The resolution, which would rescind a Department of Labor rule, passed both chambers of Congress with Democratic Senators Joe Manchin of West Virginia and John Tester of Montana voting with Republicans in the Senate. I just signed the veto because legislation passed by the Congress would put at risk the retirement savings of individuals across the country. They couldn't take into consideration investments that wouldn't be impacted by climate, impacted by overpaying executives, and that's why I decided to veto it. It makes sense to veto it, Biden said in a veto posted to social media Monday afternoon. You know, as I read this, I'm just like, this whole thing, like, I mean, this just sounds like the biggest steaming load there ever was. Like this whole, and that's almost every day in Congress. If you actually watch C-SPAN and the stuff these people are voting on and talking about, it's like, why are we paying any of these people? I don't even want a government anymore. These people are just wasting our time. It's BS after BS. They're not here to help us. They're here to change. Like, what should we do to make it look like we're doing something? How about let's spray the 56th element on the periodic table all over? Hope it doesn't do too much damage. The veto makes good on Biden's frequent promise to veto legislation passed by the GOP-controlled House he disagrees with. Well, it sounded like it was bipartisan legislation. Even before Republicans took control of that chamber, Biden often mentioned his ability to nix their priorities. I'm so confused by what this bill did. An investment account thing connected to climate change? What? The good news is I'll have a veto pen, he told a group of donors in Chicago just days before November's midterm elections. Okay, look at the joke, you guys. In Chicago, remember when Chicago Bears won their only Super Bowl with the revolutionary 4-6 defense, 46-10? If not, look it up because it's all facts. Chicago 46. Veto 46. His first veto is number 46 on the 46 date numerology. and vetoing some legislation that doesn't even make any sense. Opponents of the rule could try to override Biden's veto, but at this point it appears unlikely they could get the 2/3 majority needed in each chamber to do so. Biden's first presidential veto reflects the reality of a changed political order in Washington, with Republicans now in control of the House after they won back the chamber from Democrats in the 2022 midterms. Since former President Bill Clinton left office, U.S. presidents have issued no more than 12 vetoes each. Former President Gerald Ford, the guy who said how it all happened, vetoed 66 bills in less than 3 years in office. You know what the thing I love about them putting that about Gerald Ford in the 66 bills? Today's lesser date numerology is 46. The full date numerology is 66. The full date numerology is 3 plus 20 plus 20 plus 23, 66. The abbreviated is 3 plus 20 plus 23, 46. Okay. I mean, and where in the reporting does it say, like, the bill number so somebody can actually look it up? Like, to me, that seems like the thing you'd put in there. He vetoed bill number so that the reader could be like, oh, I want to look up that bill number. Like, right now, it just sounds like he vetoed some steaming load of nonsense that I don't even know how to look it up by. His 789th day of office. Here, just out of curiosity, let me see if that number's anything. I don't know that one off the top of my head. There could be a ritual to that as well. It's not a prime number, but I'll have to do some more digging on that one. Donald Trump did it 5 days earlier. George H.W. Bush on the 144th day. I'd like to go back and see what that one is. Another big Jesuit number. Okay. Harry Truman got right down to it. 7th day. Vetoed Gerald Ford on the 3rd day of office. Gerald Ford replaced Nixon, so he was in the middle of something. And remember, Nixon resigned by the numbers, perfectly synced with Gerald Ford's name for him to replace. Just huge rituals. Richard Nixon, 74 and 74. Well, I guess we just got done doing another cherry picking the facts and just making it sound all good like it was some kind of magic to make it all line up. I love when people come and leave comments like that. It's like, oh yeah, it's me that's making it all line up, right? Okay, let me read off whoever gave us a super chat. Thank you very much in advance. Let me find it out. And I do need to read off some super chats from the other day. There were some other super chatters the other day when I was driving that I could not see. Let's see. All right. Spatium Viator chipped in $2. Raiders doing a 3/17 ritual, signed Garoppolo and Adams. That's on the 76th day of the year. San Francisco equals 76. Garoppolo just came over from San Francisco to the Raiders that also used to be in the Bay Area. Okay, 76. Where else does it fit in? Congrats to the winners. Said, what about Dane Calloway? I don't know what to say about Dane Calloway. He promoted on, I mean, he's been talking about having me on since, like, what was it, in October now? And I remember I was still moving into my house when he was ready to have me on, and then he did a show probably 2 months ago on his own channel saying he's going to have me on soon. I reached out to him the week of the Super Bowl. I said now would be the perfect time to talk about the information because, you know, we got 2 black quarterbacks in the Super Bowl. Since October, since football season was early, I've been wanting to go on there and talk to his audience about the history of black quarterbacks, the only ones to win Super Bowls playing for the Native American teams, and what the meaning of that is, because his whole thing with his audience is that, you know, a lot of the Native Americans that were here were actually black people. And I don't know what we're waiting for. I mean, right after the Super Bowl would have been an even more prime time with that in focus, but I don't know. I don't know what's going on with him. He sent over some nice super chats in the time saying, we got to do the show, and then we don't do the show, so I don't know what to say. John Mendoza chipped in $2, said, thank you, Zach. And then, let's see, the super chats I didn't get to read the other day. HSB sent some Canadians, had been following you since early days, even before the RFG beef. Again, that beef was manufactured by him and another clout chaser and another guy who only ever got anything right, never had a following thanks to copying me. So I don't know why anybody follows that guy, to be perfectly honest. Just bad information, worthless information, complete moron. But anyway, I do appreciate the super chat. And yeah, that guy's a scumbag. Dr. Phil chipped in $10. Thank you very much. Golden Mask chipped in $10. Said keep pushing, Zach. And those were the ones I missed the other day. Thank you very much. But I do appreciate it. And yeah, I think I'll stop this stream here so it doesn't get too long, and I'll be back shortly to cover the assault weapons ban that's going on in Washington State and why it looks like it's synced up with Joe Biden very clearly. And again, Joe Biden said there'd be major gun reform in the time of his administration. So I think we'll cover that in the next one here in a little bit. We'll leave it there for now, Truth Seeker. Until next time.